Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Russell Jackman. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question. And because Russell was wanting us to go back to NBA questions, we have NBA scoring feats. Does that make you happy there, Russell?
Depends on if we're going to be talking about stuff from the Toronto Huskies and the Providence Steamroller.
And in the next segment, we're going to introduce our guest, Alan Stein. But Alan, just so you know, Russell just loves when I ask questions like baseball questions from the 1800s and, basketball questions from the 1950s and stuff like that. So but usually I try to give him some somewhat ones to kind of boost his ego a little bit because he's really good at basketball.
Oh, well, right. I don't know if you'll take a guest question, but I can give a guest trivia question.
Okay. Well, we'll let you do that when we come back from our break. We just have a quick little minute interlude here. So when we come back, we're going to introduce Alan Stein. Then we also have, if we have some, we will definitely have some time talk about some other stuff like the NBA 3-point shootout, which I thought was pretty cool between Steph and Sabrina. And then also the baseball players apparently do not like their uniforms, the new ones that are coming out because they look cheap. And then Olympic boxing, apparently they're going to start allowing a transgender male, or not but allow transgender males to compete against women. I mean, what can go wrong with that, right? Yeah, just wait till someone gets killed in the ring, and then maybe they'll change something. And the NFL just recently fined a Chiefs linebacker for a horse collar tackle on Purdy in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was less than $10,000, but I'm thinking, I mean, it's not like he did it on purpose, right? And they did a penalty, so what's the big deal? Okay. All right. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman. So our guest, Alan Stein. Welcome, Alan, to the Sports Econ 101.
Thanks a lot, Edward and Russell. Appreciate it.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You were introduced to us by somebody who said, hey, this guy might be a good guest on your show.
Yeah. So I have a 30-year career. I've pivoted my career multiple times. Started as a psychologist, then went to Wall Street, then venture capital, then the sports connection. I read the book Moneyball, thought I wanted to be Billy Beane, and I figured out how to get into baseball. I worked for the New York Mets and the Toronto Blue Jays minor league affiliates. Quickly realized that wasn't the right path for me. Went back to business school, then into big tech. So I worked for Google, Facebook, Salesforce, Tableau. And now, after all of those years in my career, now I help people to land great jobs at the world's best companies, whether it be in sports or tech or pharma or wherever.
Well, let's go back to the sports for a minute. So you read the book Moneyball, which, by the way, we've had Billy Beane on the show a few years ago.
Nice.
It was very interesting. So you read the book Moneyball, and you thought you wanted to be something like, now Billy Beane is a general manager.
Yep.
Is that what you were trying to shoot for? Okay.
That's what I was. I was a big fantasy baseball fan. I was playing 9 leagues at a time. I was quite good at it. And I thought that I had what it took to be Billy Beane. Like the book Moneyball came out, I think in 2003, or like it started, I think it came out in 2004, but I first started reading about it in 2002, 2003. And so I thought I could be Billy Beane.
But how would you go? I mean, unless you know somebody, how do you? It's funny. We're friends with Bobby Evans, general manager of the Giants, winning 3 World Series, and even he's having a hard time, finding another general manager job.
Yeah, it's through building relationships. So through that pivot, I leveraged relationships that I had in venture capital that happen to know some owners of minor league baseball teams. They put me in touch with some of the minor league teams. I wound up getting in contact with the Mets as well with some conversations, and through building relationships, I cold called some people. I got Sal Bando on the phone in the Brewers office. I emailed Mark Shapiro, who was with the Cleveland organization at the time, and then he put me in touch with Chris Antonetti. So just by reaching out in a respectful, humble way, and also, building relationships.
But what was your? I mean, if your goal was to be like a Billy Beane, but you didn't come right in and just say, "Hey, introduce me to an owner because I want to be Billy Beane." I mean, what did you start off as? What could you offer them to begin with?
I started leveraging my strengths, and my strengths were marketing and business. And when I worked for the Brooklyn Cyclones, my first job as an unpaid intern, I was working in marketing and promotions. I was doing everything from putting Scott Casimir's jersey on their first eBay store that the Cyclones had, to counting inventory in the merchandise room, and making sure that we had all the different hats and the SKUs properly accounted for. So I did whatever it took to get in there.
I like that. I like the hustle. I like the hustle. So, but it obviously you're not a general manager now. So,
No.
what changed?
Yeah. So on the general manager side, a lot of it is on the people, like the player analytics side
Yeah.
and scouting and things of that nature. I wound up getting more into the business side at first because that was my clearer path in, but I got to meet some great people in the player analysis side. But once I got in, I realized how difficult of a lifestyle it would be for me to enter there. First off, working in the summers in minor league baseball, I was at the ballpark from 9 a.m. in the morning till like 1 a.m. at night for like 10 or 14 days during a homestand. And also, I would have to move if an opportunity opened up with the Toledo Mud Hens. I'd have to move to Toledo. If something opened up in Wichita, I'd have to go to Wichita. And I had not started a family yet, but I was dating my wife, and we were talking about a family, and she's a doctor in New York. So
Oh, wow.
it was not, it was going to be a very difficult path to
Sure.
take that would require
Yeah.
lots of sacrifice. And
Yeah.
while I think I could have succeeded if I pursued it, I realized that the juice was probably not worth the squeeze.
Yeah, that's my son's favorite phrase. It's funny. I think about like my sports career years ago. I used to be a very good bowler, and so I was semi-pro, but I had to also face the facts that the sacrifices of I'm good, but I'm not that good, and there's not that much money to be made, and then all the travel and all the this and that. And I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna do the local tournaments, make a little bit of money, and then pursue a real career, i.e. in business. Russell, you want to ask any questions to Alan here?
So Alan, when you started getting involved, did you get a lot of pushback from people who were like, "Hey, get a real job," and why are you trying something that is so difficult to accomplish, and you should just try for more low hanging fruit than something as difficult as getting a job in sports is?
Yeah. So my parents definitely pushed back and said, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
But there are a lot of jobs available in sport. So I kind of took a very methodical approach at figuring out the teams in the leagues and building relationships there. So it wasn't easy at first. Like I left my job in venture capital in July of 2003, and it took me until October until I landed the job with the Cyclones, the Brooklyn Cyclones, the minor league affiliate of the Mets. So it wasn't easy. And I went down to the baseball winter meetings. I went to the minor league winter meetings, and it was, it wasn't easy per se, but with hustle and with clear goals and with perseverance, it can be done. The question is, do you want to do it? And like,
Yeah. You gotta be diehard. It's kind of funny. Brooklyn Cyclones. I understand like Iowa Cyclones or Oklahoma Cyclones, but the Brooklyn Cyclones.
So in Brooklyn, you're obviously not from Brooklyn. There's a
Actually,
famous roller coaster.
believe it or not, I was born in Brooklyn.
Well, do you know the Brooklyn Cyclone, the roller coaster in Coney Island? I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
It's named after the cyclone.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
The roller coaster, not the storm.
No, the storm. Okay, we're going to go to our break pretty soon here. But you said you have a trivia question for us?
Yes. So on the topic of NBA and on the topic of careers as well, which player has missed 14,481 shots across their NBA career? This person happens to lead the NBA in total misses of shots. So who is that person who has missed 14,481 shots?
And this is not, you're not talking about the free throw line. You're talking about just regular shots.
NBA total field goals. Like,
Okay.
I'm
I
not
was
sure.
going to say Will
I'm
Chamberlain.
actually
but
not. I'm not sure what it is, but it's total missed shots. So if you look in basketball reference, and you look at who leads the NBA in all-time missed shots, who is it?
Oh, yeah, and it's someone we would know.
Definitely.
Definitely. Okay. All right. That's a good trivia question. Well, we're not going to answer it yet. We'll answer it when we come back. All right. Okay. So now we got our first trivia question here. We're talking NBA scoring feat. Oh, amazing NBA scoring feats. All right. And again, Alan, if you know the answer, don't say anything yet till we come back. We'll answer your trivia question first. We'll let you ask it again, and then we'll do this one. Okay. Again. This is for Russell because he loves the old time basketball. During the 1964-65 season, not one, but two players on the Los Angeles Lakers scored over 2,000 points, making the first time this accomplishment had been achieved. Who were these two players? All right, let me ask this one more time. During the 1964-65 season, not one, but two players on the Los Angeles Lakers scored over 2,000 points, making the first time this accomplishment had been achieved. Who were these two players? All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101 with Edward Brown, Russell Jackman, and our special guest, Alan Stein. Do not touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Russell Jackman and our special guest, Alan Stein. Now, before I ask my trivia question, Alan, why don't you re-ask your trivia question, and then we'll see if Russell and I know the answer.
Yeah. So which NBA player has missed the most shots all time, a total of 14,481 missed shots?
I'm going to say Jordan.
Okay. Russell, you have a guess?
And I'll guess Curry.
Okay. Curry's not even on the list. I think MJ is number 8, if I recall correctly, but number 1 is Kobe with 14,481 misses. And coming up on his heels with 14,313, and I had to Google that this morning, is LeBron. So LeBron will likely pass that this season, but that's actually something that I often talk to people that I coach when they get rejected for job applications. It's like, it's okay to miss your shot. It's okay. Keep getting up there and taking your shot. And it worked out okay for Kobe and MJ and LeBron.
I am surprised with LeBron Kobe? Because he's always shot well over 50% in his career.
Well, he's just taking
so many shots. Yeah, if you play for 20 years, you're going to take a lot of shots.
I would think that someone in the 40s, that shot more, and that was Kobe. Kobe never shot 50% in any of his seasons. So that doesn't surprise me about Kobe, but it does about LeBron.
And didn't Michael Jordan say you miss 100% of the shots you never take?
That was Wayne Gretzky. Wrong sport.
Oh, wrong sport. That's right. And then pass to where the puck's going to be. That part is also him. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So my trivia question was during the 1964-65 season, not one, but two players on the Los Angeles Lakers scored over 2,000 points, marking the first time this accomplishment had been achieved. Who were these two players? Okay. Now you can answer.
I can or Russell.
Go ahead. Either one. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, I think Elgin Baylor was one of them.
Yep, very good.
Was Elgin Baylor one of them, and Jerry West the other?
Yes, and now we know Russell doesn't.
Told you I know something about the NBA.
Yes, I'm very good. Alan, were you going to say the same thing?
You're talking points, and you're talking that era. It's got to be Jerry West because he scored over 30 points a game and was the logo and all that other stuff. So,
well, I thought when did Wilt was still with the Philadelphia Warriors then, wasn't it?
Yes,
that's okay. That because at first I was thinking it was him, but who were you going to say, Alan?
I was not going to guess either of those, but I was going to say number 8 on the all-time miss list is Kareem. Yeah. Wrong era.
Okay, Kareem, I was going to say Kareem was going to be one.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and number 15 on the list of all-time misses is Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, And that's the thing is, you think these centers, their percentages are, should be over 60% at least.
Yeah,
But
but
if you're playing,
they take lots of shots.
and they play for 20 years or whatever,
Yeah.
that's going to be no matter how good you are, you're going to miss a lot of shots. Wow, that's funny because I know Wilt. I mean, you pretty much dunked it all the time. But of course, when you had Bill Russell against you, that's a tough one. All right, so in the studio, so to speak, via Zoom, we have Alan Stein. So, Alan, tell us a little bit more now. Okay, so did you have a big network in sports previously? Well,
I did not. I built it. I just reached out to a lot of my current network and told them what I was trying to do. And I was just seeking different contacts. And I had a friend who went to Princeton, and he knew Mark Shapiro because Shapiro went to Princeton. So that's how I got in touch with Shapiro. And then it was just odd connections from people.
And did you approach them saying, "Hey, I at the time were you playing fantasy baseball?"
Yeah, but I didn't lead with that. I'm like, oh, I'm a big fantasy baseball fan. I want to work for the Cleveland Indians at the time.
Yeah.
And I just approached with the desire to seek some advice about someone who is looking to transition into sports. And some people would reply back to me. Most people would not. I missed a lot of shots, but a few landed.
Yeah, interesting. I'm part of a networking group that is this guy. He has like a billionaires.com. He spent a lot of money for that domain, and he reached out to Mark Cuban no less than like 100 times, and finally Mark Cuban gave him an interview. Because it's just like he bugged him that much. So again, you put it, cast your bread upon the waters, so to speak. So now, how did you build your network?
I would shoot emails out to people. I would often reference who is referring me into them. I would be appreciative of their time. I would just merely seek some advice, and ideally have the conversation in person. Although now that was back in 2003 before Zoom was so easy to do. But I would be driving up to like New Brunswick, Connecticut to talk to the owner of the New Brunswick. I forget what their team name was. Oh, the New Britain. I don't know. Joe Mauer was playing on that team at the time. I forget the name of their the name, the New Britain Bo Sox. I forget the name, but I would just meet with lots of people. I would shoot them emails. I would reach out to them. Sometimes I would call the front office, and through persistence and taking lots of shots, I would get conversations going.
And is that the kind of suggestion you make for people interested in building a career in sports?
I do. And I also went to 2 big conferences. So I went to the baseball winter meetings, which wasn't as productive. It was cool to go down there and to see a lot of it. Theo Epstein was there, and Peter Gammons was there. I met him and other folks. And I also went to the minor league baseball meetings in Nashville, Tennessee that year, and that was more productive. People were more approachable at the minor league meetings.
Okay. So now, what are you doing anything with sports right now, or
no? After like a year foray in sports, I decided to pivot out of sports. So I still like sports, but I realized I did not want to combine my worlds. I didn't want my worlds to combine of enjoying sports and work, because I wound up rooting for rainouts when I was working in baseball because I get to go home earlier. And that's not how I used to like root for things as a kid. And I was kind of losing my joy for it, and the pay wasn't as lucrative until you get really high up. Sure. And also, it wasn't the right fit for me.
It's like loving pizza. It's like loving pizza until you work at a pizza restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'm kind of curious. You did 9 fantasy leagues baseball at a time. How much time out of the day does that take?
A lot. I was that's probably one thing that led to me getting fired from the venture capital firm, because I wasn't doing my work and I was just doing a lot of fantasy baseball. Before I had kids, I had a lot of time on my hands, and I played a lot of fantasy baseball. And once I got married, I think I went down from 9 to 7 leagues. And then when I had our twins, I think I went down from 7 to 3. And then eventually, I don't even play fantasy baseball anymore.
Wow.
because
Russell,
it's really
Russell's
hard.
got
Oh,
twins.
okay. That's something we have in common, Alan.
Yeah.
That's something we have in common. What age are your twins?
My twins are they're about to turn 18 this week,
Oh, wow.
and my daughter is
Mine,
15.
Go ahead, Russell. Yeah.
they're boy girl twins.
The twins are boys, and my daughter is a girl.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. I have boy girl twins, and they'll be 13 in August.
Nice.
And you guys decided to stop there, right, Russell?
We were only going to have one. You know, tell me one person in the history of twins that knew they were going to have twins.
Yeah. Only if a sonogram showed it.
No, but before they have, you know, the
Oh,
you know,
where,
you
like,
never
it
know
runs in
that's
the
going to
family or
happen.
something?
So,
Yeah, I can imagine that's challenging. I remember a client having a 2-year-old and then having twins, and thinking that's going to be a busy household. I can only imagine. Because Russell, you're big on the fantasy football, but that's the only one. Do you do other fantasy sports?
yeah, basketball actually. I
Okay.
created my own fantasy basketball game actually that I play with my friend. Remember during the lockout, I told you
Yeah.
about the statistical basketball game that my friend and I created. Showed you the little cards that we did. So yeah, it is a way for you to get very involved in the stats of a particular sport if you play the fantasy side of things, but it can be pretty time consuming
Yep.
and
Yeah, I
emotional.
can just imagine looking, just even doing one league, if you're, looking at all the various player stats, and I mean, and then, you're not talking about one person, you're talking about a team, and playing 9 of them. I'm thinking, how do you have time for anything else?
Yeah. Well, that's probably why I got fired.
And I guess, can you use the same team for all leagues? Or I guess
No, but the information, like once you study the league and the players, you can apply that to all your leagues. So the time consuming area was like preparing for like 1 or 2 drafts for the year, and then the next 7 or 8, like you already knew your stuff. So it's just a matter of knowing which players are on the board.
Yeah. I wonder how accurate it is for like real, to really use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like,
But people get hurt and stuff like. Tell you what, here we're gonna go to our next commercial break and we'll come back on that. Okay, so talking amazing NBA scoring feats during the 1981-82 season, one NBA team managed to score at least 100 points in every single game. Isn't that amazing? Which team was this? And I'm not going to tell you how many points they average, but if you come close, I'll be very impressed. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown along with Russell Jackman and our special guest, Alan Stein. Second trivia question on amazing NBA feats. During the 1981-82 season, one NBA team managed to score at least 100 points in every single game. Which team was this? Anyone?
I'll guess the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay, and Alan?
I don't know if the Lakers were good then or the Celtics. I'll choose the Celtics, and I'll choose 109 points.
Okay, so it was actually 126.5 points, if you can believe that. And you ready for this? It was the Denver Nuggets.
Oh, it was. That was. Yeah, I was trying to remember if it was when they were still that play no defense. Denver Nuggets just ran the ball up, and they gave up like about 125 points a game.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't win the championship till
No,
a while ago. Pretty interesting. Let's tell you what, guys. Let's move on for just a minute. So I think the Steph versus Sabrina NBA, the 3-point shootout for the All-Star game was pretty. I think that was pretty good because in the old days, we used to watch. Same thing with baseball. The All-Star game was fun to watch. It was really good. And then for some reason, it just wasn't there anymore. And then with basketball, there was basically no defense, so it really wasn't that much fun. And the 3-point contest, that was kind of fun to watch for sure. So this whole Steph versus Sabrina, I think it seems like it really was good for the sport in general, and specifically, I'm going to say for the WNBA, because Sabrina Ionescu, she really definitely held her own. And I'll tell you what I was really impressed with is the fact that she said, "I'm going to shoot from the same NBA 3-point line." Now she did use a WNBA ball, so you got to go with what you're normally used to. But that was I thought that was actually very impressive. The fact that she was willing to she was the one who asked to do it from the WNBA line. What do you guys think?
I think it's awesome. I didn't follow it myself, but I think it's indicative of sports in general just building their audience across just the male divide. The Super Bowl, I think, had the best viewership ever, perhaps, and like the Swiftie, the Swiftie effect on that, and bringing women into the sports. They're a bigger chunk of the audience. So by all means, like I have a daughter, two sons. My daughter plays as much sports as my sons do.
And the WNBA has definitely come a long way. I mean, you watch some of these women now; they're so much more talented than years gone by. I mean, even the men. If you go back to the '40s in basketball, they were good, but nothing compared to today. But the what was it? I can't remember what I was going to say about that. Russell, any comments on that?
Well, to me, I was more impressed with McClung winning the slam dunk contest for a second time.
Yeah,
and still is not really on a real NBA roster. I mean, he's probably the best player to never play in the NBA and get the back-to-back dunk titles.
Why isn't he? Why? What's the deal? Why?
He was a backup player for the Warriors, and the Warriors never brought him in from their G League, and now he's in the minor leagues for Orlando. And you'd think of anyone, Orlando's not an incredible team. They could probably fit him into the lineup, but he's just, on the outside looking in, and, it just kind of shows that you can be a great slam dunker, but not have the rest of the skills that you need to be a success in the NBA. And I mean, we have seen a lot of NBA players that have won the slam dunk contest that really didn't amount to very much otherwise. And I'm wondering if that might be McClung's, claim to fame, is that, he's the best player nobody's seen play.
Yeah, he's not that tall either. Was he like 6'2" or something?
I was really Shaq.
Yeah, I know that was really impressive. And the thing is, if you watch it closely, he didn't like put his hand like hard on Shaq's head to get elevation. He did it almost all on his own.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a little bit, but not much at all. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive.
When 211 points scored, you wanted to talk about scoring feats. The fact that even in a game where nobody plays any defense, to score 211 points in regulation is crazy. And basically the slam dunk contest and the 3-point contest are basically what the All-Star game has deteriorated to. It is a slam dunk. More guys slam dunk in the regular game of the All-Star game they do during the slam dunk contest, and more guys are shooting threes than you see in the 3-point shooting contest. And that's what maybe they it's become almost the NBA version of flag football, with nobody having any contact with each other, and just standing back and letting guys haul off and do 360-degree dunks and shoot from the half court stripe to see what they can do to score there. So it really does.
And it's, I mean, the NBA, I mean, it's not supposed to be a contact sport. And I mean, do you think that it's guys not wanting to get hurt? I mean, I understand like college It's kind of it's a little frustrating as a fan when you're watching a college bowl game and you don't see the best, the superstars play, because they're going, hey, if I get hurt, I'm not going to be able to get that big contract. And I kind of understand that, but I wonder how many people regret that afterward. But in basketball, I mean, you can play some defense and not get hurt.
Well, in the All-Star game, guys were like walking away, when guys were having the ball. They were literally, it really does show you what basketball is like if guys play with zero intensity defensively. And really, there wasn't that much intensity offensively either. It was either, shoot a three or just walk in and do a layup, or a dunk.
So it sounds like the only reason people would end up watching is just to be able to see all the superstars. You don't see any regular people, or regular people, as they say.
Well, it'll be in San Francisco next year, so save your pennies up now for tickets.
How much does it cost to go to that game?
I don't know. I've actually been to the 2000 NBA All-Star game, and how I got to that game was that my friend won tickets to it. So I actually don't know how much it costs to go, but I think they're probably several $100s to go to the game.
Yeah.
And
but
having gone to the game, we were in the same section that Michael Jordan showed up in. And that's all I can remember about the game. Nobody paid any attention to the game. As soon as Michael Jordan walked into our section, we all spent like the entire time just watching Michael Jordan eat popcorn or, talk on his cell phone.
And if he was sitting in front of you because he's so tall, did you say, "Excuse me, sir, can you move over a little bit? I can't see the game."
His entourage of like 500 bodyguards made sure that nobody had anything to do with Michael Jordan that he didn't want to interact with. So, but the entire, I don't even remember what's going on in the game. We were just all watching Jordan do everything during the entire time he was in the audience, and that was it.
I mean, it's funny because I can kind of appreciate, not so much the, I'm better than everybody else, but it's sort of like, hey, I'm here to kind of watch the game. If you're Jordan, here, I'm kind of watching the game. I don't want people keep bugging me. It's like if you're a famous person at a restaurant, you're eating your food. You don't want people keep coming up to you and bugging you.
He could have gotten a box. He could have gotten a private box if he wanted that. If he wanted everyone to pay attention to him, he sits in the audience, and that's I think Jordan's message.
Okay, I got it. All right. Hey, Alan, let's move back to you for a minute. So now, what are you doing now? Are you doing anything in sports now, or is it all just strictly the business?
Nothing in sports now. What I do now is I accelerate careers. So in my 7 different careers that I've had, I've become really good at getting jobs. I've had 21 jobs at 29 companies, worked for 38 bosses at some pretty good companies. I'm really good at getting jobs. So now with Kadima Careers, the company I founded 3 years ago, we help people get jobs quickly, confidently, and with lots more money. Some of them are in sports. People focus in sports, but some people want to get into tech or pharma or financial services or whatever. But some of the same tactics that I took to get into sports really work to get jobs in any sort of field that you're looking for.
No, but you don't consider yourself an executive recruiter.
Executive recruiters work for the company. So I call myself a career accelerator. Okay. So we work for clients and we get paid by clients and we work with them to get a better job, get more interviews, more offers, and then we help them negotiate like a sports agent. So some people call me like Jerry Maguire, which the only thing that I have in common with me and Tom Cruise are that we're both about the same height. I think he's 5'8". I think he's 5'7", I'm 5'8".
Well, we've had Lee Steinberg on the show a few times, so but he's a little taller than that.
Yeah.
Can we ask you? What do you charge? Is it based on a percentage of the income that someone earns?
So we work with people on a personalized basis. We are selective with who we work with. So people apply, and then when they work with us, it's $10,000 until they get a better job. We work with them as long as it takes. Then we help them negotiate the offer. Then we work with them for the first 90 days. We also offer some payment plans as well.
And do you cover a multitude of professions?
Yeah.
I mean, do you specialize in?
We work on sales, operations, finance, marketing, customer success, business analytics, engineering, product
Well,
management, all over the place. We
how,
work
how
with
many clients?
people.
Okay. I was just saying, how many clients do you have?
We have about 300 clients
Wow.
that have gone through Kadima, and probably actively now we have about 75, because after they get jobs, they're still part of the Kadima network, but they're no longer actively attending our training and workshops and coaching.
And I think like a lot of the millennials, they do change jobs, a lot more often than like when I was coming out of college. So I would think that they would keep tapping your shoulder, so to speak.
Yeah, between people wanting to look for a better job and people that have been forced to look for a better job because of some of the layoffs that are going on with the
Good
economy.
point.
Yeah, like athletes. Like if you look at most athletes, they switch teams every 2 or 3 years. There's
Yeah.
some that stay with the team for a long time, but actually switching teams or switching companies is actually more effective for your long-term career growth and career and compensation trajectory.
Wow. Okay. You guys ready for our last trivia question, our last break here? Talking
Sure.
Yep.
amazing NBA feats. And by the way, before we do, Alan, how do people get a hold of you if they want to
Yeah.
hire you for their services? For your
You
services,
can go to our website, kadimacareers.com, KADIMA careers.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Alan Stein, ALAN Stein. You can look me up under Kadima Careers, or Google or Facebook or American Express. You'll see me come up on LinkedIn.
And Kadima, what does that stand? How do you get that?
So Kadima, when I was naming it with a buddy of mine who's Israeli, I asked him, how do you say the word accelerate in Hebrew? And I forget what he said for that, but he came up with the word Kadima, which means forward. And it was like a childhood game that I used to play on the beach called like Pro Kadima. It was like a paddle game. I actually have it on my back shelf there.
Okay.
And but we got the trademark for Kadima Careers as a business service.
Okay, tell you what, here's our last trivia question. Let's going to move on to some more, as they call it, ignoble scoring achievements now. On April 6, 1997, which team managed to score only 2 points in the third quarter against the Lakers? All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Russell Jackman and our special guest, Alan Stein. Third trivia question, 1997, April 6th. Which team managed to score only 2 points in the third quarter against the Lakers?
So my first choice would be my son's basketball team, but they're pretty bad. But I don't think they're that. But assuming that it wasn't the basis independent basketball team, I'll choose the Sacramento Kings.
Okay, and Russell?
I'll say the LA Clippers.
No, it was the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, they were also pretty bad back
in the
then
third
too.
quarter. That's pretty bad.
I did think it might be a Kings kind of record, though. It does sound like the Kings would too.
Russell has an affinity for the Kings. So, Alan Stein, thank you again for being our guest today. And you guys ready? Here's our thoughts for the day. So, I have a step ladder. My real ladder left when I was a kid. I'm sorry, that's bad. That's good, but that's bad. If I don't hear a chuckle from Russell, I go, I didn't hit that one.
Work harder, yes.
Yeah, I got to work harder. Okay. And as I get older and remember all the people I've lost along the way, I think to myself, maybe a career as a tour guide wasn't for me. Well, hey, come on, Russell. I got a laugh out of Alan on that one.
Oh, I'm a guest, though. Russell lives with you.
Exactly. He's just trying to be nice.
Yeah, it's like your kids laughing at your joke. They probably never laugh at your joke, but if you invite your kid's friend over, they'll laugh.
Exactly. That's a very good point. I like that. All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective, asking more sports trivia questions, and maybe we'll have better dad jokes. All right, thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
So long. So long.
Thank you.